Fuel price. That's one of the major stories on the front pages this morning. Vanguard newspaper, petrol supply. NNPCL, Dangote Refinery disagree over pricing. $8.98 per litre based on crude imported in dollars. According to Dangote, NNPC lifts 16.8 million litres out of 25 million litres. Independent marketers feel left out. We're lifting 16.8 million litres at 8.98 naira per litre. That's from NNPC. And a number of other riders to that story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. The Guardian newspaper has the same story. Confusion over pump price subsidy as FG offtakes Dangote's Petrol. NNPC insists on 8.98 naira per litre, excluding associated costs. That story is on page 6. But then, is it FG or the NNPCL? I don't know. Well, the details you find on page 6 of the paper this morning. The Daily Times newspaper has NNPCL Dangote trade words over PMS pump price. We bought petrol from Dangote Refinery at 8.98 naira per litre, according to NNPCL. NNPCL's claim misleading, mischievous, says Dangote. FG hails lifting of petrol from Dangote Refinery, says it's a step towards industrialization, local refining. That story is on page 4 of the paper. Daily Independent. Finally, NNPCL trucks load first set of petrol at Dangote Refinery. Dangote denies selling PMS at 8.98 naira per litre to NNPCL, assures Nigerians of quality product and to fuel scarcity. The details continue on page 29 of the paper this morning. Dangote Refinery fuels Nigeria after 28-year lull. Counters NNPC, says sold product cheaper in dollars. Refinery eyes 100% delivery via sea. Details you find on the inside pages of the paper today. The Nigerian Tribune, Edo PDP APC bicker over alleged planned removal of Obaseki's security. Anyoko International Community watching INEC others. Any manipulation will cause exodus of Nigerians to Europe. That's from PDP. Wants EU to prevail on INEC others to respect will of electorate. Forex scarcity forces operators to cannibalize disused airplanes as carriers face existential threats. That story is on page 2, and look at the riders. Why 60% aircraft on offshore maintenance can't return. Operators deplore spare price gouging. Scarcity, travelers lament. Details on the inside pages of the paper this morning. Maiduguri flood, 400 million naira budgeted for Allow Dam in 4 years. Dam neglected for years, that's according to Zulum. 8 defects discovered 9 years ago, that's according to a report. Fear of disease grows as Borno decries harmful practices. Survivors wash, cook with contaminated water. Details on the inside pages of the paper. This Nigerian newspaper, 281 inmates missing from Borno prisons. Nigerian Correctional Service laments havoc of flood disaster. Group 6 judicious use of 3 billion naira to vulnerable states. The details on the inside pages. And this is what the Abuja Inquirer leads with. FCT lawmakers perform poorly at National Assembly. Senator Ireti sponsors 1 bill, 2 reps with 0 bills. What's that all about? The details on the front page continues on the inside pages. Now, these are some of the papers we have for you this morning.
I mean, a lot is happening. It's a lot to take in. I think we should just take a moment and breathe, and then see how we can take one of the issues one after the other. I'm going to start with the Leadership newspaper this morning. It has quite a number of stories that we saw over the weekend. I'm going to start off with the top one here from the Leadership. Obasanjo, Abdul Salami, and retired General Gusau meet IBB in Minna. And of course, this one really caught my interest because, you know, this is a conversation that we have been having over the years about people who have been in government and what they bring to the table when they leave office. I mean, we remember that Council of State meeting. And, you know, with the Council of State meeting that happened, you know, a lot of questions came up about the participation, especially of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. But we're seeing that he arrived Minna yesterday, held a closed-door meeting at the hilltop residence of former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And, of course, other people who were at that meeting, you know, they said he was dressed in white, had a green lace on. Everyone was talking about how he was looking. And that's because, you know, we need to know what's coming out from that meeting. So if that's something that you're interested in or you want to get more details on that, you can go to page 7 of the Leadership newspaper this morning. And, of course, the biggest story in the country, NNPCL. Yeah, it is. It's the biggest story for now. Maiduguri was the biggest story. But it's they're competing for which one is the most important story of the day. I like to think that human angle stories are the most important stories that we have to deal with every day. But we have to deal with the price of petrol. When it comes to pricing, what's going on? NNPCL and Dangote disagree over price of petrol. More on that from page 4. I remember what the drama was. We bought fuel from Dangote at 898. That was the first thing that happened. Then, of course, we now heard it's mischievous. We're not going to look at that, and that's not what happened. And then we now saw a pricing breakdown from an NPCL. So a lot is going on. I think it's going to make up part of our conversation in the second part of the program today. And then, of course, The Guardian today, The Guardian newspaper. Quite a number of headlines from The Guardian as well. Confusion over pump price subsidy as federal government offtakes Dangote petrol. More on that from page 6 of The Guardian newspaper today. You know, that breakdown, they're insisting on that cost. What are you going to do? What should we do? What can we do? Is there anything that can be done? Is there some kind of intervention that can be made? We actually do not know what to do now. For now, it's a waiting game, really, to see exactly how all of this works out. And of course, still has that story I told you about Obasanjo meeting with IBB, Abdulsalami, and Gusau in Minna. More on that from page 30 of The Guardian newspaper today. But let's go back to Maiduguri. The federal government is releasing pictures of 281 fleeing inmates. They've captured 7. You can get more of that from page 3 of The Guardian newspaper. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at right now. Ayo, what are you looking at from the papers?
Well, my interest is still on what you are interested in, what you're talking about, which is the price of petrol. Oh, by the way, there are 2 things that we are not looking at. First of all, the NNPC says, look, if the Dangote is saying that it is not true, that statement that the NNPC put out says, if the quoted pricing is disputed, it will be the NNPC will be grateful for any discount from the Dangote Refinery, which will be passed on 100% to the general public. I like that part. But then there is still this other part that many are not talking about, is it an attempt to distract? We understand that Dangote and the Dangote Refinery and the NNPCL agreed to 25 million liters of petrol each day, but that the first lifting was of 16.8 million liters. What's the consequence of that? What are the implications of that? Well, maybe we'll be speaking to that later on, because I don't know whether or not the NNPCL was able to import to balance out whatever deficit could be, God forbid. But that is what you'll find on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, because one of the writers there says, we are lifting 16.8 million liters at 898 per liter. That's from the NNPC. So if we are supposed to have 25 million liters and we have 16.8 million liters, what are the implications of that? That is on the one hand. The other hand is still right above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper, which says FG delivers 1,200 CNG kits to 5 states. Kayla, you know, I did just a little bit of calculation. Let's say, I am not agreeing, God forbid, but let's say, in some parts of the country, because I understand someone said to me that in Warri, they have been buying petrol for 1,500 naira per liter. If they are doing that in Warri, I wonder what's happening in Sokoto. I wonder what's happening in Bauchi and in Kano and several other cities like that. So let's just say that you buy fuel at 1,000 naira on the average, and you have a 50-liter tank. That's 50,000 naira per filling. Let's say that you fill your tank once every week. That's 200,000 naira per week. Multiply that by 12, that's 2.4 million. Jesus. So And we understand that CNG conversion for some vehicles is up to like, say, 1.8 million naira. Okay, so I don't know if I've given you anything to think about. With these few words of mine, these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to... I don't even know if that makes any sense, but it's really not a funny thing.
Not confuse you.
You know, but these are the realities that we have to face.
Sometimes we have to laugh to keep from crying, really.
Well, why do you think that at some point they called us the happiest nation in the world? Simply because we just have to laugh to follow the troubles.
We should stop saying this. You know, let's even talk about, we're not. Just because you're able to take a lot of things doesn't make you happy, doesn't make you strong. It just means that the day you break, you really, really break. And that's the point we don't want the Nigerian to get to.
Absolutely.
And these things keep happening over and over again, and then we roll over, you know, the water off a duck's back. This back.
You know what's also interesting, Kayla, on the front page of one of the papers, The Guardian that you looked at, it says that the president gave ministers 1,200 bags of rice each as palliatives for distribution. Please, dear viewer, let us know if you have gotten your own part of that bag to the minister that is from your... There's someone on social media
recently, Ayo.
Okay.
The person on social media said, why does the government think rice is the solution to everything? There's a flood, you give rice. The road is bad, you give rice. There's an accident, you give rice. Who told you that rice is the solution to everything going on?
Well, it's sad. It's really a lot. You know, it's really a lot. But you know what? We just have to keep going. Let Nigerians have all of this information so that they can be able to make informed decisions, because we can't die. We have to keep moving on. Things have gotten so bad over the years that we only talk to the person that is leading at every point in time. But how about the other people in the various states who have authority and responsibility to do stuff? Everyone should bear their brother's burdens. You know, that's my take this morning on that one.
Well, we do have to go on a short break, I think, and when we come back, we'll kick off our conversation. We're starting in Edo State, so please stay with us.